The show is called The Burning Question. I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. We are putting our focus today on a story that is developing in from the state of Telangana. That is going to be polling at the end of this year. That's going to be somewhere in December of 2023. And when you have netas from different political parties who begin with their attempts to polarize, one understands this is the election season. But the point is, how far will we allow our netas to go? Can they continue to provoke? What about issues of development? That's going to be our top focus. First up, the headlines on Top of 8. UK report warns of the Islamist and pro-Khalistani extremism inflaming anti-India sentiment. After Himanta's tough action, the NCPCR chief asked states to follow suit on child marriage. Ashok Gehlot reads out last year's budget for several minutes. The BJP mocks this faux pas. Prime Minister Modi inaugurates the new campus of the Saifi Academy. He calls himself member of the Bohra community. The Indian Army Field Hospital gets operational in Turkey. India's Operation Dost now is in full swing. Skipper Rohit Sharma's century puts India on the driver's seat on day 2 of India versus Australia match. So the state is Telangana. Like I said, Telangana is going to be voting somewhere in December of 2023. This is a state that the BJP has been eyeing for some time. This is KCR's only bastion. This is also the state that KCR believes can help him actually launch his national ambitions with. The reason why he changed the name of his party from the TRS to the BRS. But what has happened now? What has happened is that BJP state president, his name is Bandi Sanjay, has made a provocative comment. He says in case the BJP is voted to power, which he is assuming will happen very, very soon in the state of Telangana, he says the BJP will not talk about education, will not talk about development, but instead what he says is that we will break down the domes of the new secretariat that has been constructed by KCR at a cost of over 400 crores. This, remember, secretariat is going to be inaugurated by KCR on the 17th of this month. Owaisi has also jumped into the entire controversy. Remember, the attempt is clearly to polarize. And he says, why are political parties talking of bringing down structures that they believe are replicas or remnants of the Nizam culture, but not talking about development instead? So let's bring up the entire story first up, and then we debate.
The new secretariat at the state of Telangana is the pet project of the Chief Minister KCR, which has now become a focal point of political fighting in poll-bound Telangana. The BJP has raised objection to the dome structure.
ఇలా సచివాలయం తాజ్ మహల్ కడుతుంటే రాణి అన్న భారతీయ జనతా పార్టీ ప్రభుత్వం ఏర్పడిన ఆ భూములు ఊడ్చేస్తాం, పక్కా ఊడ్చేస్తాం భూములు. ఆ సచివాలయం అనేది తెలంగాణ సంస్కృతికి అనుగుణంగా, భారతీయ సంస్కృతికి అనుగుణంగా సచివాలయం సవరి మొత్తం రూపం కొత్త రూపం తయారు చేసి ఆ భూములను కూల్చేస్తాం. పక్కా తెలంగాణ సంస్కృతి ఉట్టిపడే విధంగా, భారతీయ సంస్కృతి ఉట్టిపడే విధంగా.
And the BRS is hitting back.
These kind of statements are going to disturb the peace and harmony in the state, and BRS strongly condemns this and demands unconditional apology from Sanjay and demand the BJP central leadership to take action on him.
Is it deliberate polarization ahead of the elections?
The newly built secretariat will be inaugurated by the Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao on the 17th of February, on the eve of CM KCR's birthday. And now we are seeing that how there has been a massive face-off, whereas the BRS, the ruling government here in the state of Telangana, hits out at the BJP over this statement which is being made by the BJP state president, where they say that if BJP is voted to power, then they will demolish the domes on the newly constructed secretariat building. This is Anili Shah with Video Journalist for Republic TV.
So what happened to talks about development and who's attempting to polarize? I want to put that question out to a panel of guests joining us. Suresh Kochatil is the political analyst on the broadcast from Hyderabad. I also see Raj Lakshmi Joshi, also an activist. Professor D.K. Giri Saab is a political commentator. Bachu Srinivas is spokesperson of the BRS. And I'm a little confused because we do not have a BJP representative on the show, but we'll try and see if we can have a BJP voice, because I think it's important, Sureshji, to ask that question as I begin this debate with you. I mean, is this what the BJP really wants to do in the state of Telangana if it was voted to power? Bring down structures? Why not talking about education? Why not talking about their development?
I don't hold a brief. I don't hold a brief for the BJP nor for Bandi Sanjay. But let me tell you that I am now pulled over in a traffic which is like jammed, driving for the last 1.5 hours to reach home. I'm more worried about this. I'm worried about if the traffic can be better. I don't want to mock Bangalore's traffic and say this is it, but from high-tech city to reach home, it takes me 2 hours. I'm more worried if somebody can, or I'll be more happy if somebody can take the traffic part of it than demolishing something or making something. At the same time, let me tell you that there is also a question of semantics here. What has happened is that KCR all along the way has been pandering to the Muslim Vote Bank, which along with Owaisi, he knows that there is a significant Muslim Vote Bank in the old city of Hyderabad, in areas like Nizamabad and other places, including Karimnagar, from where Bandi Sanjay comes in. Now, you look at the entire sequence of events. When he constructed the Telangana Bhavan, he made something very similar. There, the onion-shaped domes, which dominated the Nizamian architecture, is kind of there on the High Court. It is in the Osmania Hospital. It is there on the Telangana Rashtra Samiti building. It is there on the assembly buildings. And of course, now the secretariat. Now, when we talk of erasing the past, of course, one doesn't really concur with the fact that you need to bring down something to build something. But I think what we need to do with the same...
Sureshji, you say you don't hold a brief for the BJP, but today, as a voter, as a citizen, I want to ask that question of the BJP. The BJP, the Prime Minister, puts out their development model. And like you said, if you are alleging that KCR is indulging in appeasement, isn't the BJP provocating? Isn't this a clear provocation coming in from Bandi Sanjay? And he exactly knows what he's doing.
No, I see the problem with politicians is that they make the statements because they know there's a certain vote bank they cater to. Okay, let's be very clear on that. Or be it anybody for that matter, be it KCR or be it the other side of the BJP. Now, the obvious fact is why did Bandi Sanjay threaten to crack the dome? He knows that it cannot be done. It's a huge building. Even if he wins the election, which I don't think BJP will win the next election, but it at least get a significant number of seats.
Kochatil, I didn't understand you. Why? You talk about the statement which he has given. You always
Mr. Srinivas, I'll just come to you. I'll just come to you in a moment because I think it's important for me then also to put that question out now that you've intervened. Sureshji. Let's ask that question of Bachu Srinivas then. Bachu Srinivas, what is the inspiration behind this dome-shaped structure? Why is it that the opposition alleges that you, because believe in this practice of appeasement, will try and put out such symbolism, this semantic again and again? You're also guilty. You're equally guilty.
No, we are not guilty, or we are not feeling anything. See, you take the Mysore Palace in India, which was constructed in 1912, I believe, which is constructed by Yeduraya Odayar. He is an Indian and Hindu king, and Indian Parliament is constructed by the colonial era building designed by British architects Sir Edwin Luthians and
No,
harper bakers,
Mr.
which took 6
Srinivas,
years.
Mr.
No, no,
Srinivas,
listen.
you're
No, no,
obviously wanting to deflect that
I would like
question.
to bring you few
No,
things.
let's, okay.
If really,
okay, I'll make it simpler.
I would like to come.
You know, I'll make it simpler. What happened is initially when I heard this comment, sir, one second, listen to me. When we heard this comment from Bandi Sanjay, I obviously, was wondering why has Bandi Sanjay made a comment like this? But then I also asked myself that why did you decide to construct this new secretariat? Can you tell us? Because many say that this is quote unquote because of the superstition of the chief minister.
Now you kindly repeat. I'm sorry. Your question is why we constructed the secretariat, right? Your question is why we constructed.
Yes. Is it because KCR? Is it because KCR got superstitious and he wanted to have a new building, something that he's done at the cost of the exchequer's money?
Now, why the new parliament is going to construct in Delhi? Why the Modi ji is going to construct a new parliament?
Is that your only answer?
No, I am asking the question.
Is that your only answer to this?
No, it is required for the sake of good governance, for the sake of where a secretariat is required to the Telangana people to give the best quality of governance at a single place. That's the cause. What is wrong in it? See, if Modi construct, it is wrong. If
and then why the dome-shaped structure?
And one more thing.
Okay, you say there is nothing wrong in this. Why the dome-shaped structure?
No, let me come to you. Even the new parliament is going to construct a dome in that. You have any idea the new parliament shape? Even Mr. Bandi Sanjay will not have, I think. He is an immature politician in Telangana. We are badly suffering with him.
So why is he doing this?
Why he speaks? No, why he speaks? What he speaks? No, why we don't know. To get only the attention of the people, nothing else. Elections are coming, as our Mr. Kochatil said just now. To get the attention of the people, to give the controversial statement. That is only their intention. They are, as he said, they are not going to win. They are not going to demolish it. They can't demolish.
Okay, so the BRS dismissing
one Congress.
Okay, you obviously say
destruction of the park.
And why? I want to understand also, Raj Lakshmi. I also want to know who is Bandi Sanjay then to tell us that, if the BJP comes to power, we'll pull down this structure. Isn't that a clear provocation? What do you think?
Deepti, very firstly, let me just clarify. He did not speak about bringing down the entire structure. He spoke about the domes. Just to add something,
Dome, exactly, yes.
By profession. Okay, I am an architect by profession. Just letting you know. So this in the olden days, the domes that we had, they were actual roofing structures, and they were part of the structural elements. But today, the domes that have been added here, they are definitely not a part of the structural element. They are just ornamental domes added later after the entire building has been constructed.
So what is the problem? I want to know what is the problem. Because, Raj Lakshmi, the Taj Mahal also has a dome. Tomorrow or any fine day, Mr. Bandi Sanjay can get up and say, I'm going to pull down the dome of the Taj Mahal.
Deepti, just now, Mr. Pachu Srinivas, he was talking about the domes in the different structures. I hope he can differentiate the shape and the look of the domes. There are certain domes that are clearly Indian in design. They look clearly, they have this culture, this Indian culture.
The Indianism.
And I don't think
you are unable to see the Bharatisa. You are able to see the only Muslim culture.
Mr. Srinivas, I very patiently listened to you when you were speaking. I hope you give me that honor again. Yes. Please let me finish. I have a few points to put across. Okay, so what I was saying is there is a clear differentiation in the kind of domes in the different structures. You have domes in temples, you have domes on Indian structures as well as on a lot of mosques and masjids, and the domes that
Raj Lakshmi, my problem is that in today's day and time, when the Prime Minister is putting in so much of emphasis on development, on India's growth story, I want to know why today should a BJP leader from the state of Telangana be making such statements? And because, you wanted to qualify what he said, I'm reading out verbatim what he said, and then we'll get DK Giri Saab also to respond. Now, he said, and I'm quoting him here, if we are voted to power, he said, we will destroy the cultural symbols of the Nizam in Telangana, including the domes of the newly built secretariat. He goes on to say, we shall make suitable changes to the domes that reflect the Indian and the Telangana culture. So, Ms. Joshi, I want to know that who is Bandi Sanjay to decide, that he is going to pull down the domes if the BJP is voted to power?
See,
I mean, at the end of the day, this is taxpayers' money.
No, I just told you some time back that these are just ornamental features, and Mr. KCR could very well have avoided using.
So forget them. I mean, why is he so bothered about this if the idea is not to provocate? Sureshji, very quickly, if the idea is not to provocate, if the idea is not to pit one community versus the other, Sureshji, why would a Bandi Sanjay make a comment like this?
On the contrary, Deepti, Mr. KCR is poking the Hindus by using these domes.
There is a hatred against the Nizam's.
No, the point is that you want the conversation to be centered around Hindu versus Muslims. You don't want to talk about development. You do not want to talk about growth indicators, and that is unfortunate, Sureshji.
As I said, I don't speak for Bandi Sanjay, so I'm trying to look at from an analyst point of view.
Why you have to speak about the Pachatilji? You have to speak about the Bandi Sanjay comment only.
Mr. Srinivas, neither did you tell me what was the need to create this new secretariat if this was not superstitious. Please allow Sureshji to make his comment. I'm going to come back to you. Like I said, all sides are guilty. All sides are guilty. Yes, Sureshji.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say one thing. Is the fact that when the last so-called Nizam died about a week or 10 days ago, there was a state funeral held. Remember, we had removed all the monarchs, everybody, the titles were all gone. Why was a state funeral provided? I can understand if he held a title, the titles were abolished by Indira Gandhi long back. Why did a state funeral? See, these are all semantics. These are all words. So what Bandi Sanjay said, you can equate with what KTR did in terms of the KCR did in the state funeral. Now that he has a CM, he could have gone there and paid his respects. It's a different thing. But when you go there and you do all these things, you wear certain symbols on your dress which reflect a particular religion, then, as a chief minister of a state, you need to kind of take a side. You either take a neutral stance or you go this way or that way. Bandi Sanjay is catering to his audience. I don't find fault with that. Because he knows that he is looking for an audience. He knows that Muslims will not vote for BJP in big numbers. So he is making sure that the consolidation that happens definitely goes towards his side. And that is what I don't hold.
So the masks clearly are off.
No,
I think then the masks are clearly off. And before I allow Bachchu Srinivas to counter you, let's get in Professor DK Giri Saab. He hasn't spoken yet. Professor Saab, you do make a very reasoned analysis and a comment always. So I want to know today, when you see this picture, with that dome-shaped structure on the top of that secretariat, and, we are questioning Bandi Sanjay for the kind of comment he's made, should we also not question whether the state actually needed to pump in so much money to bring up this new secretariat, if this was not superstition, allegedly?
Well, you have formulated the debate very well. I agree with you. We conduct our politics on symbolism, not substance. And then people, both the chief minister as well as Bandi Sanjay, they are indulging in, spendthriftiness and provocation, as you say, correctly. And this is intellectually incomprehensible and politically not advisable to bring down any structure. Even if he made it, he is a chief minister. He did it in his own wisdom, which can be debated and questioned. But to say that we pull it down, that costs money, as I said, this is intellectually not comprehensible. You do not erase history and you do not bring down structures. And let us talk about development. Let us look forth. Don't look back to the history. So it is certainly addressing a particular segment of voters which is very unhealthy politically. So you are right, both sides are guilty, but Bandi Sanjay is more guilty than the other one because he is talking of destroying. You know, the Chief Minister has constructed something which can be debated, but this guy is talking about pulling it down, it is destroying it. We don't destroy
He's
things.
not talking about
You
pulling
see,
down
even
the
if we
entire
don't agree
structure,
with it,
please.
we
He's
don't
talking
destroy
about the
things.
dome.
No,
You are an
Ms.
architect,
Joshi,
madam.
are you really
Even if you
defending
pull
Bandi
down the
Sanjay?
dome,
Because, you know, like I said in the beginning of the show, we do not have a BJP representative on the show. So I do not know why the BJP, is the central BJP standing with this comment that has been made by Bandi Sanjay or not? I'm not sure. Because like I said, the Prime Minister's narrative, Ms. Joshi, has largely been on development. India's growth story.
Yes.
Does this fit, you know, pulling down structures, saying, you know, this looks like this, so, you know, let's pull this down? And because, you know, you can pit one community against the other. Why should the BJP resort to this if the BJP is confident of, you know, upseating KCR from its only bastion?
Deepti, I just want to repeat this, that this is not about pulling out an entire structure. It's only about changing the dome. The dome, like I said, it's just an ornamental thing.
Ms. Joshi,
Like I was telling you,
Can I react to that?
Why?
The Prime
What is the
Minister,
need?
the Prime Minister, he spoke on Independence Day. He spoke about, you know, erasing all the remnants of our colonial history and all the symbolism of slavery.
No. You're wading into a very serious. You're wading, Ms. Joshi, into a very serious territory. You know, I just want to pull you back. I want to pull you back from there because you in your heart know it's not that. You know, this is plain simple politics. DK Giri Saab, do you agree with you know what Ms. Joshi is saying?
Yes, absolutely. Well, the architect, madam, is not making a lot of sense, I must say. You do not.
No, this is about domes.
History,
This is not about
history,
pulling down
you
an
do not
entire
erase
structure.
history. By pulling
This is
down the
about
structures, madam, hold on,
ornament.
have
Have you ever
patience.
seen-
So this is
Hold
a
on.
dome
By
that has
pulling
just
down
been
the
constructed,
structure,
Ms. Joshi,
erasing
for
the
your
monument,
reference.
you do not erase history.
This has
You
not
debate
been made
it.
by any
That is the
Nizam or
essence
a
of
colonial
history.
ruler.
We
This
debate
has
colonialism
just been
today, how it was
constructed.
bad and how it has
Just look
affected
at the
us.
kind of domes
But
that have
you
been
don't do
added.
that.
Just look at the domes.
You
I'll tell you
should
why
have a
he has
better
added
sense
the
of
domes.
history.
I'll
How
tell
do
you
you
why
read
he's added
history?
the domes.
You don't erase
Deepti,
it. You
let me
cannot
tell you
erase
why he has
history.
added the
You
domes.
cannot tell us
I'll
that
tell you.
that did not happen.
Deepti, let me
Colonialism
tell
did
you why
happen
he
in
has
our
added the
country.
domes.
Ms. Joshi wants to tell us that why is the dome such a problem? Then I'll get Bachu Srinivas to respond. Ms. Joshi first.
Remember the
Yes.
history of colonialism
Deepti,
and debate it. How
Deepti,
bad it was for us. And why
I
we
want
should
to
not allow
ask-
it
I
to
want
be
to ask-
repeated.
Yes, go on.
Mr.
Go on,
Giri,
Ms. Joshi.
Mr. Giri, just let me make a point. From what I understand is, this secretariat has been built after demolishing 2 masjids. So Mr. KCR, in all his wisdom, he wanted to appease the Muslims by putting on all these domes ornamentally after the building was constructed.
Okay,
to
so
appease
now
the Muslims and make them happy.
you have now made that point. You have now made that point, and I will get immediately Bachu Srinivas to respond to that.
That
So
is
Bachu
exactly
Srinivas,
what happened.
No, it
you
is
know,
a baseless
whatever Ms.
argument.
Rajlakshmi Joshi is alleging you of.
Rajlakshmi
Is this
ji is
true?
speaking
Yes
a
or no?
baseless argument.
This is not an allegation.
Nothing. It is not worthy
in fact,
argument.
In fact, Mr.
Unnecessarily.
KCR has
She said it's a
agreed
fact.
first
to
mistake-
build
She's saying it is a fact. She is
Kindly
confident
wait.
of a fact.
The first mistake
Ms.
is made by
Srinivas.
Bandi Sanjay.
Yes.
The first mistake is made by the Bandi Sanjay.
No, you
and
tell me if
next
this is true or not. Whatever I'm telling you, if this is true or not,
the next
why are you
people,
building
no,
2 masjids
listen,
somewhere
you kindly
else
wait.
to appease
You kindly
Mr.
wait.
Owaisi?
You kindly wait.
Why
If
have
really,
you done that?
if dome is wrong, since 8.5 years,
Okay,
the central,
you have
in central,
let Mr.
the
Srinivas
BJP is in
respond.
the power.
To make Mr. Owaisi and all the Muslims happy. That is
You
what
wait,
you have
you
done.
wait, you wait first. There are the government, Bharatiya Janata Party government is there since 8.5 years, continuously in the central. There are so many constructions all over India with the dome. Rashtrapati Bhavan,
I
Supreme
told you
Court.
the domes are different in every structure.
No, this is also
You're
same like
deflecting.
you. You are unable
Mr.
to see.
Srinivas, you are also deflecting.
You are looking.
Mr.
You
You
are
are
seeing
deflecting.
it from Bandi Sanjay
Is
view.
there a deal?
No,
Is
you
there
are-
a
you
deal
are-
between
you are also
Owaisi
looking it from
and
Bandi
the
Bandi
BRS?
Sanjay view. And one more thing I would like to convey you.
What is the
It
deal
is
between
we
Mr.
are going to
KCR
constructed the temple and mosque in that for your kind consideration. To kindly listen, Rajalakshmi ji, you can't speak like a Pandit Sanjay. You are in the Republic, sorry, you are in the Republic channel.
I think Mr. Srinivas, it will serve you well if you answer those questions. Because she's raised a big charge. She's raised a big charge. I'm letting you respond to that charge. You can say this is untrue. You can say this is wrong.
Yes, you can
But
say
Yes, 100% it is true. It is not true. No, if the dome is wrong, what BJP government
he's saying
is
it's
doing?
not true.
It's been shifted. Why is Mr. KCR?
Take the Rajasthan, all the
build it somewhere
northern
else?
part of India is
You have a
constructed with the
BJP
domes
spokesperson.
only.
You are saying there is no BJP.
Take the
spokesperson.
Karnataka.
Mr. Srinivas,
Here.
let's focus on Telangana. Let's focus on Telangana for a moment, unless you are embarrassed to talk about Telangana.
No, we are also talking. See, even in Telangana also, there are constructions. High Court is there, which was constructed long back. There are so many constructed. Even our parliament is having domes today. What is wrong in that? Okay, I understand.
You're not telling me the basic.
Listen, Bandit Sanjay
My
is making
basic
a
question,
political
Mr.
argument.
Srinivas, is that why was there this need to put out this new building?
Why you are
And
doing
why
politics
did you
unnecessarily
want to
in
have
that
these
debate?
dome-shaped structures? What was the inspiration
many
behind
domes?
this?
And it is also
Why so many domes that too in the
representation
typical
of
Nizami
divinity.
structure?
Dome is a representation of divineness.
You could have taken Indian domes. You could have taken something of an.
No, it is Indian
something
dome,
that was
Indian dome
representative
only.
of Telangana.
It is Indian dome only.
Culture.
For your kind
didn't need to
consideration,
be.
it is an
No,
Indian
this
dome
is very
only.
clearly. Anybody who looks at these
It is an
structures, they
Indian
can
dome
tell you.
only.
And
You
what
are
was the
mistaken,
need
my
to put
dear,
so
I'm
many
sorry.
domes? They are just
You are
quite
strongly
clearly
believing
ornamental.
Pandit Sanjay words. You are strongly
You
believing
can.
Pandit
No,
Sanjay
I'm
words.
not talking about Mr. Bandi Sanjay at all.
No.
Now you
You
tell
are-
me what is happening
you
between.
are talking from
you
Bandi
tell me what
Sanjay's
is
side.
happening between
You can't
Mr.
speak from
Owaisi
his
and
side.
Mr. KCR.
You
can
lose
tell me
your
now, please.
identity. I'm sorry. You lose your identity and reputation.
No.
I'm sorry.
One last question, Mr. Srinivas, because you have ducked all questions. DK Giri Saab, I see your hands going up, but just one quick question. I want to give 10 seconds to each, Mr. Srinivas and DK Giri Saab. You know, what is the allegation here, Mr. Srinivas, is that this is a deal between you and Owaisi. That is what she's alleging. Can you say that is right or wrong?
No, everybody knows in the nation who has the deal with OICG. And openly we have a political
No one
association
knows
in the
anything.
state.
Everyone has a deal with everyone, it seems, because this is politics. DK Giri Saab.
We openly-
You know, you have all
Why
political
Mr.
parties getting
Why
exposed.
Well, I have to say,
They
you may
become
be
strange
right.
bedfellows.
The
And
politicians
they have
make
a
all
strange
kinds of deals.
ideology.
Can I speak?
But I'm talking about how to
Can I
read
speak?
history
Yes,
and
DK Giri
build
Saab.
our culture. How to read our history and our culture. That is my point.
Yeah.
So that is all. Politicians might do anything, but how
Can
do
I-
you
can I
interpret
speak?
our culture and history? You see, that is the question in any structure that we build here.
Yes.
So it depicts pluralism in our country. It also, gives us a
doesn't-
chance to
this one
debate our
doesn't
history.
depict
Do not erase the structures.
pluralism. This
Do not
depicts
destroy
an
them. That is
Islamic
all I have to say.
Which is something that hurts all the people of Telangana. This is something that hurts the people of Telangana. And that is
And not just this, Ms.
Islamic
Joshi,
culture is
because
part of
people in
Indian
Telangana
culture.
have a
we've
problem.
run out of
Islamic
time.
culture is part of Indian
Also,
culture,
what
is it
Bandi
not?
Sanjay has said, what
Can I
Bandi
come in?
Sanjay
I'm
has
asking,
said,
Islamic
he's
culture is
dared the
not a part of
Telangana
Indian
minister,
culture. What
KCR's
is what I'm
son,
saying?
KTR, to demolish mosques on roads in the old
What
city.
we need to.
So, whether this is provocation, this is real concern, this is only about architecture, as Ms. Joshi is alleging, or the fact that BRS is superstitious, but Mr. Srinivas wanting to duck all our questions, I think our viewers are smart. And I will let them decide
Correct.
who's playing this game of polarization ahead of the Telangana elections. Ms. Joshi and all gentlemen, thank you so much for your time here. We're quickly heading into a break, back on the other side with lots more.
Amity University is establishing a most advanced supercomputing facility for research and innovation in the field of artificial intelligence. Scientists and researchers passionate to make a difference in the field of artificial intelligence are invited to contact at ai@amity.edu.
1984 में होता है ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार। ये क्यों करा गोल्डन टेम्पल का ऑपरेशन और क्या ये दूसरी तरीके से करा जा सकता था?
3 मीटिंग हुई 25 मई, 27 और 29 मई। मिसेस गांधी के साथ 2 मीटिंग। जनरल वद्दा की जो 25 और 27 की मीटिंग थी, उसने कहा था हम गोल्डन टेम्पल को चारों तरफ सराउंड कर लेंगे, पानी काट देंगे, बिजली काट देंगे और भूखे मरेंगे तो अपने आप सरेंडर कर लेंगे। और ब्लू स्टार में भी SFF कमांडो जनरल सुंदर जी ने मंगवाई थी।
पाकिस्तान का इंटरफेरेंस कब शुरू हुआ सर? हथियार भेजना, ट्रेनिंग करवानी, ये कब शुरू हुआ मामला?
ये पाकिस्तान का जब पंजाब में लॉयलेसनेस हो गई शुरू, ये जनरल जिया जो है वो बड़ा वाइली आदमी पंजाबी था, जलंधर का बॉर्ड, तो 1979 से 1989 तक रहा। पंजाब में ये बदअमनी ना होती, ये खालिस्तान वाला इशू ना खड़ा होता तो पाकिस्तान कभी भी कश्मीर की सिचुएशन को खराब नहीं कर सकता था।
Mysterious deaths in the heart of Odisha. The inside story. Russians in Raigada, Republic originals this weekend.
1984 में होता है ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार। ये क्यों करा गोल्डन टेम्पल का ऑपरेशन और क्या ये दूसरी तरीके से करा जा सकता था?
3 मीटिंग हुई 25 मई, 27 और 29 मई। मिसेस गांधी के साथ 2 मीटिंग। जनरल वद्दा की जो 25 और 27 की मीटिंग थी, उसने कहा था हम गोल्डन टेम्पल को चारों तरफ सराउंड कर लेंगे, पानी काट देंगे, बिजली काट देंगे और भूखे मरेंगे तो अपने आप सरेंडर कर लेंगे। और ब्लू स्टार में भी SFF कमांडो जनरल सुंदर जी ने मंगवाई थी।
पाकिस्तान का इंटरफेरेंस कब शुरू हुआ सर? हथियार भेजना, ट्रेनिंग करवानी, ये कब शुरू हुआ मामला?
ये पाकिस्तान का जब पंजाब में लॉयलेसनेस हो गई शुरू, ये जनरल जिया जो है वो बड़ा वाइली आदमी पंजाबी था, जलंधर का बॉर्ड, तो 1979 से 1989 तक रहा। पंजाब में ये बदअमनी ना होती, ये खालिस्तान वाला इशू ना खड़ा होता तो पाकिस्तान कभी भी कश्मीर की सिचुएशन को खराब नहीं कर सकता था।
Mysterious deaths in the heart of Odisha. The inside story. Russians in Raigada, Republic originals this weekend.
1984 में होता है ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार। ये क्यों करा गोल्डन टेम्पल का ऑपरेशन और क्या ये दूसरी तरीके से करा जा सकता था?
3 मीटिंग हुई 25 मई, 27 और 29 मई। मिसेस गांधी के साथ 2 मीटिंग। जनरल वद्दा की जो 25 और 27 की मीटिंग थी, उसने कहा था हम गोल्डन टेम्पल को चारों तरफ सराउंड कर लेंगे, पानी काट देंगे, बिजली काट देंगे और भूखे मरेंगे तो अपने आप सरेंडर कर लेंगे। और ब्लू स्टार में भी SFF कमांडो जनरल सुंदर जी ने मंगवाई थी।
पाकिस्तान का इंटरफेरेंस कब शुरू हुआ सर? हथियार भेजना, ट्रेनिंग करवानी, ये कब शुरू हुआ मामला?
ये पाकिस्तान का जब पंजाब में लॉयलेसनेस हो गई शुरू, ये जनरल जिया जो है वो बड़ा वाइली आदमी पंजाबी था, जलंधर का बॉर्ड, तो 1979 से 1989 तक रहा। पंजाब में ये बदअमनी ना होती, ये खालिस्तान वाला इशू ना खड़ा होता तो पाकिस्तान कभी भी कश्मीर की सिचुएशन को खराब नहीं कर सकता था।
Mysterious deaths in the heart of Odisha. The inside story. Russians in Raigada, Republic originals this weekend.
1984 में होता है ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार। ये क्यों करा गोल्डन टेम्पल का ऑपरेशन और क्या ये दूसरी तरीके से करा जा सकता था?
3 मीटिंग हुई 25 मई, 27 और 29 मई। मिसेस गांधी के साथ 2 मीटिंग। जनरल वद्दा की जो 25 और 27 की मीटिंग थी, उसने कहा था हम गोल्डन टेम्पल को चारों तरफ सराउंड कर लेंगे, पानी काट देंगे, बिजली काट देंगे और भूखे मरेंगे तो अपने आप सरेंडर कर लेंगे। और ब्लू स्टार में भी SFF कमांडो जनरल सुंदर जी ने मंगवाई थी।
पाकिस्तान का इंटरफेरेंस कब शुरू हुआ सर? हथियार भेजना, ट्रेनिंग करवानी, ये कब शुरू हुआ मामला?
ये पाकिस्तान का जब पंजाब में लॉयलेसनेस हो गई शुरू, ये जनरल जिया जो है वो बड़ा वाइली आदमी पंजाबी था, जलंधर का बॉर्ड, तो 1979 से 1989 तक रहा। पंजाब में ये बदअमनी ना होती, ये खालिस्तान वाला इशू ना खड़ा होता तो पाकिस्तान कभी भी कश्मीर की सिचुएशन को खराब नहीं कर सकता था।
Burning question presented by Samsonite, powered by XUV400 and Cool Fans.
Thank you for joining us on the trending burning question. The pictures from Turkey sending a very powerful message. In fact, there are survival stories, stories of how different countries have come to Turkey and Syria to help in whatever little ways that they can. Over 300 trained personnel from India are, as we speak, in Turkey trying to find those trapped in the rubble. The Indian Army has set up a field hospital in quake-hit Turkey's Iskenderun, where 106 rescued people are currently being treated. Many videos are coming in, and as we look into the role that India is playing in Turkey, here's a quick report on how India has been one of the first responders with one of the biggest teams on the ground in Operation Dost.
The deadliest earthquake of the century has devastated Turkey and Syria. The death toll has crossed 20,000. Several nations have joined hands to help the quake-hit nations. India was an early responder and launched the Operation Dost. Operation Dost aims to provide rescue and medical relief to Turkey and Syria. So far, 6 Operation Dost flights have reached Turkey. The Indian Army team of medical specialists are on the job 24/7, providing relief to the injured. Specialized search and rescue teams of NDRF have saved many lives, and the rescue operations are still on. On Indians stuck in Turkey, the MEA has said that the embassy is ascertaining their well-being. With the death toll rising with each passing day, India's Operation Dost ensures every possible help to the ailing nations. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Kamal Sibal, former Foreign Secretary, joining us on the broadcast this evening. Thank you, Mr. Sibal, for joining us. First of all, the pictures that are coming in, heartbreaking pictures of little children, and God knows how many more people are trapped. But I'd like to get your view on, one, the rescue mission and the role that India is playing in it.
I think we made a necessary humanitarian gesture, because this kind of calamity can strike any country. We've had earthquakes in India, very powerful earthquakes in India too. So if the international community gets together to save people in distress and provide humanitarian aid, this is a show of international solidarity. So far as India is concerned, we are, as you know, providing ourselves, we are projecting ourselves as first responders, at least in our region, when there is a natural calamity. And we have shown that, we have demonstrated that when there was a tsunami, etc. So as part of that narrative that we have built up, that we have a sense of responsibility towards the international community, we have the means, we have the will to come to the aid of distressed people as part of our humanitarian disaster relief setup that we have in this country, which is functioning very well. So I think it was the right gesture, notwithstanding the fact that lately Turkey has not been particularly friendly towards us, but we have rightly set that aside and assumed our responsibility. The second thing is that at the time when we are presiding the G20, and in the context of the narrative that I have just mentioned, it's also important that we consolidate that narrative when we have the eyes of the world on us because of our G20 presidency, and we would have demonstrated, because people are watching. Developed and developing countries are watching what we are doing. So we have this opportunity to, in fact, consolidate that narrative in our favor as a responsible power, as a country which assumes its obligations towards the rest of the international community, and as I said, with the capacity to come forward very quickly when there is a humanitarian disaster in our larger region.
Yeah. And Mr. Sibal, you've been a foreign secretary, and looking at the size of the rescue missions right now in Turkey as we speak, and in fact as we speak there's a live shot from APTN of the rescue that's underway, so I'll just put that live shot in as well. Azerbaijan has about 700 trained personnel on the ground, Israel about 400, France 200, India 200, just the rescue teams, and we have medical teams roughly about 170. That makes it about 400 trained personnel on the ground, with India leading it with over 400 trained personnel. And in the context of what you said about particularly Turkey not being the friendliest, in that context, will things change going forward? How do you see this panning out?
Well, we can always hope for the best, but I'm not very hopeful that this will leave a lasting impression on Turkish policy making. You know, Erdogan, or Turkey under Erdogan, has been following a very self-centered foreign policy. They are members of NATO, but they have made a lot of NATO partners of theirs very unhappy. They are very close to Russia. But remember, they shot down a Russian plane over Syria. And despite the fact that they've tried to mediate between Russia and Ukraine over the current conflict, they have supplied drones to Ukraine despite their very close ties with Russia. They are at odds with Russia in northern Syria. So they play their diplomatic cards very ably from their point of view, but it is very self-centered. And therefore, while they'll appreciate what we have done, given the fact that they have managed much greater contradictions in their foreign policy, they'll be able to manage this contradiction of being very friendly towards Pakistan and supporting them on an Islamic basis, and yet be appreciative of what India has done.
Yeah. A lot of criticism, especially on social media, even in Turkey. In fact, as we speak, Erdogan is facing a huge backlash. There is obviously this situation where nobody saw it coming, but I think their response, getting very angry reactions on the ground. But you mentioned Pakistan, a lot of anger that countries who otherwise pretended to be friends with Turkey aren't doing much in this moment. Is that also your observation?
Well, in the case of Pakistan,
yeah, they need to help themselves. Yeah.
The Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister wanted to go there personally, and they were asked to stay at home because they would have interfered with the operations that are going on. But Pakistan has very limited capacity. India has a huge capacity, this NDRF that we have created in our disaster management center. We have a lot of experience in this regard. That is one. The other is that I've not seen what China has done. For instance, you mentioned countries that have contributed relief efforts, but I don't know what China has done and to what degree or strength have they come to help in the operations on the ground. Europe is very close. Europe, you mentioned countries in Europe who have sent assistance. Germany especially has a huge Turkish population. And many of them are from this area. And therefore, locally, the Turkish-German community would be very concerned about what is happening to their relatives in this part of the country. And therefore, I would suppose that Germany should have been there, ought to have been there in much greater strength relative to anybody else. With regard to Erdogan coming under criticism, to some extent, it is normal. Because when a disaster of this magnitude strikes and the public is suffering so much and the weather is so inclement and they have no shelter, naturally they want immediate assistance from the government. And when faced with such calamity which happens all of a sudden, it's very difficult for any country to muster resources immediately and give relief to the degree that the public would want. However, the criticism has been that he has 120,000 strong armed forces, that why didn't he immediately put the military on the job? Why did he wait for 24 hours or whatever it is before, in this emergency situation, to go to the help of the stricken people? So to that extent, and then of course the government is saying that the roads and the airports and everything else are not accessible, and there has been a delay in giving relief, and he has acknowledged that there is dissatisfaction on the ground. So I would say that on the one hand, it is normal in these situations for the public not to be satisfied because they have expectations, and rightly so, that government will come to their assistance and not leave them in the lurch in open ground in these freezing temperatures. On the other hand, there are certain constraints that any government would face when faced with a calamity of this nature. But as I said, the fact that he didn't deploy the army straight away has been a point of criticism, certainly in the Turkish public.
Yeah.
And of course, the opposition party, the Republican People's Party, has been very critical of the manner in which Erdogan has handled the situation. Since elections are there in May, so there obviously a lot of electioneering will go around this also. The opposition will try and expose the government's lackadaisical response in order to, how should I say, keep the electoral battle in mind. But this is domestic politics.
Yeah. In fact, you asked a question of how many, it would be interesting to see how many rescue personnel, for example, China had said. There's one report, it was dated the 9th, that yesterday, which mentioned just 80 compared to the 400 plus that India has on the ground. So it's a pity, isn't it? I'd like to play out what the Turkish ambassador to India had to say about this. Specifically, he was asked questions on the response that he was getting from India. A very interesting soundbite that came in. Mr. Sibal, I'd like you to listen to that.
Operation Dost is a very important operation, and this is the operation of friendship, because Dost is a word in Hindi and Turkish which means friends, and this operation shows our friendship between India and Turkey. And friends always help each other. I remember 2 years ago in May 2021, I was exactly in this airplane, and Turkey sent 2 aircrafts loaded with COVID medical assistance. Now, after 2 years, now we have 2 huge devastating earthquakes in Turkey, and India is sending now search and rescue teams to Turkey. So because friends, real friends, help each other in their days if they are in need.
It will be helpful for Turkey?
Of course, because what we would need in Turkey, especially in the first 72 hours, is search and rescue actions together with emergency medical aid. And everything is, the start of the Operation Dost, it includes search and rescue teams and emergency medical aid. That's why it's very helpful.
The current situation is quite critical in Turkey.
Yes.
It all rises to near about 10,000. How would you look at this situation?
Sorry? It's too loud, yes.
How would you look at this situation? That call is near about 10,000.
It is almost 10,000, but we are racing against time. And there are still so many, rebels, and the operation is continuing. Our government's bodies are also overall. There are more than 15,000 Turkish troops, rescue operations, doctors, and so on. They are Turkish Red Crescent is also there, and they are working there, and now also some foreign teams. So they are doing their best. They are working day and night in order to rescue people.
Last question to you, sir. The relationship between India and Turkey.
Sorry?
The relationship between India and Turkey will improve after both the relationship between India and Turkey.
As I said, this is a symbolic operation, Operation Dost. It's always already proves that we are friends.
It will improve international relations.
Why not? Of course, we have to deepen our relations. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was the Turkish ambassador to India. I mean, you heard the last few questions. For a country that any mention of India can't can't end or begin without a mention of Kashmir, and the fact that that we've responded the way that we have, there couldn't have been a better response, isn't it, Mr. Sibal?
Well, as ambassador, he said the right things, and naturally he would thank India and put the Indian gesture in the right light. That's normal. But he doesn't determine Erdogan's policies or the policies of the Turkish government. It's for the Turkish government, Erdogan himself, to understand what Turkey could gain from stable India-Turkish ties, especially as India is rising. And Turkey is a very important regional player in that part of the world. So there's a good basis for a strong relationship. In fact, when I was ambassador there, our relationship was really looking up. And I had a very positive experience in Turkey professionally. And there was no question of they interfering in Kashmir or taking up Islamic causes and this and that. But things have changed under Erdogan, who has a particular view of Turkey's role in the Islamic world. And he's reputed to be close to the Muslim Brotherhood that dictates his policies. And it's unfortunate that when he came to Pakistan, he expressed concern about the sufferings of the Muslim brothers and sisters in Kashmir. That was the wrong thing to do, but that is part of his political philosophy. So what we have done will certainly be a positive factor.
Yes.
It dies, but I don't foresee any fundamental change in Turkey's position in our region, because the Pakistanis adore them, they adulate them. In fact, I was very amused when as ambassador to Turkey, I was told that the Pakistanis go and tell them that we are the inheritors of the Turkish Empire in India. I mean, if they go to this extent to lose their self-respect and demean themselves before a foreign country to say that we are now your successors in the Indian subcontinent, then what do you do?
Yeah. And my last question to you, sir, a short question. Many observing that maybe Syria not getting the kind of help that it should be getting. Syrians are reaching out. Or do you think more should be done there?
Yes, certainly. But the trouble there is that the earthquake in the northern part of Syria is a zone which is infested with terrorist organizations. In Idlib and elsewhere, there are these pockets of Islamic extremists. And then there is the sanctions problem. And the United States has come under a lot of criticism for not lifting sanctions or not doing something which would allow aid to flow to Syria in the northern part without breaching sanctions. Yes, Syria needs more attention. We have given assistance to Syria, but there's no way that we can send our C-17s to northern Syria and give relief on the ground. If this had happened in Syrian government-controlled areas, we would have definitely done that in as big a way, because we have very good ties with Syria.
Yeah. Mr. Kanwal Sibal, thank you for joining us and giving us your time this evening. We felt this is a very important issue that needed to be addressed. A lot of people asking questions about how India is helping and whether India can do more. But I think we will continue to report the situation on the ground. Mr. Sibal, thank you for joining us. We'll leave you with these images that came in from Syria, the army hospital, the field hospital that was set up as over 100 Indian trained personnel from the army continue to treat over 100 in Turkey, those who are stuck under the rubble. A few days back, in fact, that was yesterday, last evening, when a video came in of a young girl who was rescued alive by the Indian team there, leaving you with those pictures. Thanks for watching.
Amity University is establishing a most advanced supercomputing facility for research and innovation in the field of artificial intelligence. Scientists and researchers passionate to make a difference in the field of artificial intelligence are invited to contact at ai@amity.edu.
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल है, पर नामुमकिन नहीं। अब फायरवॉल टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम आग से बचाए।
पाकिस्तान का इंटरफेरेंस कब शुरू हुआ सर? हथियार भेजना, ट्रेनिंग करवानी, ये कब शुरू हुआ मामला?
ये पाकिस्तान का जब पंजाब में लॉलेसनेस हो गई शुरू, ये जनरल जिया जो है वो बड़ा वाइली आदमी पंजाबी था, जलंधर का बॉर्न, तो 1979 से 1989 तक रहा। पंजाब में ये बदअमनी ना होती, ये खालिस्तान वाला इशू ना खड़ा होता, तो पाकिस्तान कभी भी कश्मीर की सिचुएशन को खराब नहीं कर सकता था।
Mysterious deaths in the heart of Orissa. The inside story. Russians in Raigada, Republic originals this weekend.
1984 में होता है ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार। ये क्यों करा गोल्डन टेम्पल का ऑपरेशन, और क्या ये दूसरी तरीके से करा जा सकता था?
3 मीटिंग हुई, 25 मई, 27 और 29 मई। मिसेस गांधी के साथ 2 मीटिंग। जनरल वद्दा की जो 25 और 27 की मीटिंग थी, उसने कहा था हम गोल्डन टेम्पल को चारों तरफ सराउंड कर लेंगे, पानी काट देंगे, बिजली काट देंगे, और भूखे मरेंगे तो अपने आप सरेंडर कर लेंगे। और ब्लू स्टार में भी SFF कमांडो जनरल सुंदर जी ने मंगवाई थी।
पाकिस्तान का इंटरफेरेंस कब शुरू हुआ सर? हथियार भेजना, ट्रेनिंग करवानी, ये कब शुरू हुआ मामला?
ये पाकिस्तान का जब पंजाब में लॉलेसनेस हो गई शुरू, ये जनरल जिया जो है वो बड़ा वाइली आदमी पंजाबी था, जलंधर का बॉर्न, तो 1979 से 1989 तक रहा। पंजाब में ये बदअमनी ना होती, ये खालिस्तान वाला इशू ना खड़ा होता, तो पाकिस्तान कभी भी कश्मीर की सिचुएशन को खराब नहीं कर सकता था।
Mysterious deaths in the heart of Orissa. The inside story. Russians in Raigada, Republic originals this weekend.
1984 में होता है ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार। ये क्यों करा गोल्डन टेम्पल का ऑपरेशन, और क्या ये दूसरी तरीके से करा जा सकता था?
3 मीटिंग हुई, 25 मई, 27 और 29 मई। मिसेस गांधी के साथ 2 मीटिंग। जनरल वद्दा की जो 25 और 27 की मीटिंग थी, उसने कहा था हम गोल्डन टेम्पल को चारों तरफ सराउंड कर लेंगे, पानी काट देंगे, बिजली काट देंगे, और भूखे मरेंगे तो अपने आप सरेंडर कर लेंगे। और ब्लू स्टार में भी SFF कमांडो जनरल सुंदर जी ने मंगवाई थी।
पाकिस्तान का इंटरफेरेंस कब शुरू हुआ सर? हथियार भेजना, ट्रेनिंग करवानी, ये कब शुरू हुआ मामला?
ये पाकिस्तान का जब पंजाब में लॉलेसनेस हो गई शुरू, ये जनरल जिया जो है वो बड़ा वाइली आदमी पंजाबी था, जलंधर का बॉर्न, तो 1979 से 1989 तक रहा। पंजाब में ये बदअमनी ना होती, ये खालिस्तान वाला इशू ना खड़ा होता, तो पाकिस्तान कभी भी कश्मीर की सिचुएशन को खराब नहीं कर सकता था।
Mysterious deaths in the heart of Orissa. The inside story. Russians in Raigada, Republic originals this weekend.
1984 में होता है ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार। ये क्यों करा गोल्डन टेम्पल का ऑपरेशन, और क्या ये दूसरी तरीके से करा जा सकता था?
3 मीटिंग हुई, 25 मई, 27 और 29 मई। मिसेस गांधी के साथ 2 मीटिंग। जनरल वद्दा की जो 25 और 27 की मीटिंग थी, उसने कहा था हम गोल्डन टेम्पल को चारों तरफ सराउंड कर लेंगे, पानी काट देंगे, बिजली काट देंगे, और भूखे मरेंगे तो अपने आप सरेंडर कर लेंगे। और ब्लू स्टार में भी SFF कमांडो जनरल सुंदर जी ने मंगवाई थी।
पाकिस्तान का इंटरफेरेंस कब शुरू हुआ सर? हथियार भेजना, ट्रेनिंग करवानी, ये कब शुरू हुआ मामला?
ये पाकिस्तान का जब पंजाब में लॉलेसनेस हो गई शुरू, ये जनरल जिया जो है वो बड़ा वाइली आदमी पंजाबी था, जलंधर का बॉर्न, तो 1979 से 1989 तक रहा। पंजाब में ये बदअमनी ना होती, ये खालिस्तान वाला इशू ना खड़ा होता, तो पाकिस्तान कभी भी कश्मीर की सिचुएशन को खराब नहीं कर सकता था।
Mysterious deaths in the heart of Orissa. The inside story. Russians in
NCPCR says other states must follow suit. Will Himanta model be replicated? Why communalize fight against social evil? Debating tonight at 9 p.m.
पाकिस्तान का इंटरफेरेंस कब शुरू हुआ सर? हथियार भेजना, ट्रेनिंग करवानी, ये कब शुरू हुआ मामला?
ये पाकिस्तान का जब पंजाब में लॉलेसनेस हो गई शुरू, ये जनरल जिया जो है वो बड़ा वाइली आदमी पंजाबी था, जलंधर का बॉर्न, तो 1979 से 1989 तक रहा। पंजाब में ये बदअमनी ना होती, ये खालिस्तान वाला इशू ना खड़ा होता, तो पाकिस्तान कभी भी कश्मीर की सिचुएशन को ख़राब नहीं कर सकता था।
Hello and a very good evening. The show is called The Debate and I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. We are filling in for Orna, but we are keeping a very, very sharp focus on the day's top stories and also stories and issues that demand and justify a good conversation.
Well, in fact, the bigger question that we're raising tonight is that whether at all the model that has been started by the Assam government, should that really be followed in other states? Why exactly communalize an issue which perhaps is setting a model? Starting with the first big debate on the Assam government's crackdown on child marriage.
At 10 p.m. we are bringing a big debate on what Pakistan really is going through. For the last many days, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard this conversation. Pakistan now has completely gone broke. It's now become a pariah.
At 10:30 p.m. with my colleague Niranjan, radicalization, a bigger threat. This has now been finally recognized by the United Kingdom. But is that really enough when countries like United Kingdom, Australia and Canada is giving a free run to Khalistani agents? That's debate number 3. NCPCR chief asks other states to follow Himanta model to erase child marriage social evil.
Himanta acts tough, but some are still trying to communalize the action by the Assam government.
UK report warns of anti-India rhetoric over Kashmir issue, admits Khalistani threat.
Completely bankrupt Pakistan is forced to accept all the IMF terms as it is still hoping for more money.
Rajasthan Chief Minister becomes subject of opposition mockery as he reads old budget without realizing.
And the Prime Minister reassures India stands with Turkey as Indian teams help in a massive rescue operation. This is called Operation Dost. But ladies and gentlemen, our top focus on our first debate today is on a story that possibly can shock you, it can surprise you. That listen, if you have a state that is wanting to have a huge crackdown against child marriages in today's day and time, that should be welcomed. Now that state is Assam. The Chief Minister of the state already has announced that we have more than 2,700 arrests. And he's said this unequivocally, that in the next few years, I am going to ensure that my state of Assam has absolutely no instances of child marriages. He also says, Shawan, that we will have a rehabilitation program, and he also says the